Hi there, friends. This is Praying Medic. It is Wednesday, April 11th, and this is my latest QAnon update. And I need to apologize to everyone for being AWOL. I'm sorry. I had to go take care of some family business over the last week, and I was not able to publish any Q updates on video. I didn't have my equipment with me. I was trying to keep up with Q posts as much as I could on Twitter and building the threads. As you will see in this video, I was getting pretty creative in how I was taking screenshots of the Q posts. Tried a lot of different things, and it had mixed results. So I apologize for my absence, and I will try to be a good boy in the future. This is going to be a very long video, so probably a couple hours. Q has been very busy, and I have a lot of stuff I'd like to discuss. One of the things is there are a lot of different websites now where you can find Q posts. There is QAnon.pub, there is QAnon. There's the storyofq.com. There's a couple of GitHub sites. I found 5 or 6 different places because in the last week, the one that I use a lot, the SSL certificate expired, and people were freaking out because they couldn't access that site. And QAnon Pub, if you're on a mobile device, gives you a lot of annoying warnings. So there are some issues with getting to the Q posts, but if you look around, you'll be able to find them. All right, I am going to get rocking and rolling. The theme for this series is April showers. And this was Q's post on April 4th, actually. It's very long. I'm just going to read it to you. It was not supposed to be revealed that POTUS is not under criminal investigation. Not yet. Traitor. Massive intel sweep. Manafort was a plant. Trace background. Open source, which means it's publicly available information. Who was arrested? Non-US. Trace the background of that person. Open source. Carter Page was a plant. Trace background. Open source. Why is Mueller going after inside plants? Flynn is safe. Define witness. Can a witness hold a position of power or influence while ongoing? Russia, Russia, Russia. Real or fake? Fake? J.A. Julian Assange. Seth Rich. MS-13-187, brackets 2, 24, distance. MS brackets 13, and then brackets again. 13 equals M, and then MSM, the wheel. No investigation into WikiLeaks receipt of information. No pull down of NSA metadata to trace the C to WikiLeaks. No pull down of NSA metadata, period. Nothing transferred across web. Direct to direct bypass dump. No direct investigation into DNC computer software. No direct investigation into CS, which I believe is CrowdStrike, who reported on the DNC supposed hack. FBI, SC, which I believe is Special Counsel DOJ, federal government, simply trust CS report, CrowdStrike's report on data breach. Hussein block, Hussein control. Hussein states secrets. White House National Security Articles 1 through 9 buried. Awan attached. America for sale. Cheatin' Obama. Trust the plan. April showers. Q. Lots of information there. I'm going to touch on a couple of the more, I think, significant issues. So Q suggested that a leaker inside the White House made it publicly known that Trump was not under criminal investigation, and that wasn't supposed to be leaked. That's news to me. It seemed to me like Trump wanted everyone to know that he wasn't under investigation. So evidently someone leaked it, and then Trump had to kind of make it public. Manafort was a plant. Yes, I've believed that for some time. He was inserted into the Trump campaign to sabotage it. Manafort has always had sketchy connections to Russia and Ukraine, investing interests, oligarchs. Why he would be picked to be on the Trump campaign has always been a mystery to me. So Q says he was a plant to come in and to do some damage. Q asked who was arrested. Dutch lawyer Alex van der Zwaan was sentenced to 30 days in prison for lying to investigators about his relationship to Rick Gates, Manafort's partner. Q said Carter Page was a plant. That kind of became obvious when it was discovered that Carter Page was actually an FBI informant right before joining the Trump campaign. Sundance Conservative Treehouse did a really good article and saying that basically in March of 2016, Carter Page was an FBI employee. He was an informant. And then a few months later, I think 6 months later, the FBI told the FISA court he was a spy, and they used him. They got a FISA warrant to run surveillance on him and the Trump campaign. So yeah, it's pretty obvious that Carter Page was indeed a plant by the deep state. So Q is right there. Q asked why Robert Mueller is going after people who were planted inside the Trump campaign by the deep state. Okay, so I know a lot of you are not going to believe this, and there's no way you're ever going to believe this unless you hear it from Trump's mouth. But Q is suggesting that Robert Mueller is actually working for the president, and that he is going after people who were planted inside the Trump campaign. And I guess, I don't know, I'll take a few minutes here and just give you my thoughts on the Mueller investigation. A lot of people are looking on the surface of the Mueller investigation, and they're looking at what they see, what's obvious to them, and they're irritated, and they think that Mueller is going to indict Trump, is going to lead to Trump's impeachment, that, especially with this going after, Mueller basically dropped a dime to the New York FBI, and they raided Michael Cohen's office, and we'll talk about more of that in a few minutes. When you look at all this stuff, you think, okay, Mueller is rogue, Mueller's a black hat, Mueller's going after Trump. I mean, it's easy to see that. What's not easy to see is what is happening to Mueller's team, and the people that Mueller is actually going after, is actually prosecuting, and how that is actually hurting the deep state. As Mueller's investigation has gone on, people inside the intelligence community have picked apart Mueller's team. Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, their text messages came out, and their bias, their anti-Trump bias came out. The small group within the FBI and DOJ got totally exposed. Bruce Orr got exposed and demoted. Strzok and Page got demoted. James Baker, who was FBI general counsel, he was exposed for leaking, and he was demoted. Who else? There's John Carlin, who was director of the National Security Division of the DOJ. Right before the election, when he approved one of the warrants for surveillance on Carter Page, he felt like things were getting too out of control. He resigned. So all of these people in the FBI and DOJ, Andrew McCabe, he gets exposed and he gets fired. All of these people inside the DOJ and FBI, people who were involved in Mueller's team, have all been exposed as corrupt people. When you look at that, how do you explain, how do you take the view that Mueller is winning this war? If Mueller is a black hat, if Mueller is representing the deep state, then why are all of these deep state operatives getting exposed and taken out? There is a counter operation going on inside the intelligence community. And another way to look at it is that Mueller is leveraged because of his past, that he is working for Trump, and this is a big game that's going on, and a lot of people are falling for the bait. And Q is asking, hey, why are these plants? Why did Manafort end up getting indicted? Manafort was a crook, tons of money laundering. So was his partner Gates. So all these people are getting arrested. They're getting charged. They're all crooks. And Q said Flynn is safe. A lot of people are worried about Flynn. Q was telling us, hey, don't worry about Flynn. Flynn is okay. So I would just caution people to look at this objectively and keep your eyes open and pay attention to what Q is saying, because Q is giving us information that is contrary to the popular narrative right now. Q here says Flynn is safe. He asks us to define witness, someone who observes illegal activity. Yes, a witness can still play the game. Then they would be called an informant. There is an interesting theory floating around out there. I don't know if I believe this or not, that Seth Rich is actually not dead. That Seth Rich survived the gunshot wounds and is actually a witness. I'll tell you why that is an option that's worth considering. There's conflicting testimony about what happened to Seth Rich the night that he was shot. If I remember correctly, the ambulance reports say that he suffered non-life-threatening gunshot wound, I think 2 of them to the back, and that he was stable. He was up in the ambulance talking. Everything was fine. He gets to the ER. Everyone was thinking, he's going to be fine. And then he goes to the ICU, and he was okay there in the ICU. He was stable, and then all of a sudden, he dies under very mysterious circumstances. And it's like he didn't have life-threatening injuries. His injuries were not the kind of injuries that you would anticipate someone dying from. So now Q is bringing up the question, what define witness? Is Q talking about Flynn? Is Q talking about Julian Assange? Is Q talking about Seth Rich? I don't know. I think we're going to find out some very interesting information in the coming months. Like I said, I'm not saying that I believe Seth Rich is still alive. I think it's possible. And that would be the story of the century, if Seth Rich was still alive and is actually a witness. To be continued. I guess we'll find out later. So Q then goes on to ask about Russia. Is it fake? If it's fake, Julian Assange, we assume. My operating theory is that Assange received the intel directly from Seth Rich. It wasn't leaked, or it wasn't hacked by the Russians. I think Seth Rich had access to it, put it on some drives, and gave it to Julian Assange. Assange has almost come out and said that. Attempted murder or murdered by 2 MS-13 members. Mainstream media covers it up. No investigation into the alleged transfer of data. No investigation of CrowdStrike. No examination of the NSA intel. NSA would have all that information, but there's been no examination of it. Obama is, Q is basically saying Obama is covering it up under the guise of state secrets. So, interesting stuff there. Q said, cheating Obama. Okay, crying Chuck, right? Schumer, lying Ted Cruz, and cheating Obama. Who does that sound like? Q posted a summary of the agenda of the globalists. It's long. So, I'm going to read it for you. Money, power, control. People are simply in the way. Slaves, sheep, pawns. Mass extinction events designed to decrease the threat level of the population. Gun control, wars, brackets fake, and then brackets top happy, back end deals. Election rigging, control. Your voice does not matter. Pharma, class D. Water, air, chemicals pushed for home use and cleaning, cancer in brackets. And then in brackets, baby on floor, hands in mouth, it's a start. Vaccines, brackets, not all. Tobacco, opioids, ultimate win, brackets, death plus money. The Fed. Conspiracy, conspiracy, conspiracy. Oh, sorry, Rothschilds is in there. UK and Germany, 5 days. Choice is yours. Revelations, enough is enough. Q. All right, so, like I said, kind of the agenda of the globalists. Q suggested it may be time to end the Federal Reserve. Does Trump plan to put the dollar back on the gold standard? He has talked about it. He has talked at length about how nice it would be to have the dollar back on the gold standard. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. If Q is who I think Q is, that is a very significant statement by Q. Q said UK and Germany have 5 days. Let me get this up here. When this was posted on the 4th, John Bolton was going to assume his role as National Security Advisor in 5 days. That was on the 9th, and today's the 11th. So I suspect that's what it was talking about. And Bolton has come in, and there's already a lot of house cleaning going on. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on here I wanted to talk about. Look real quick. Well, yeah, I think you get it. We have a lot of stuff to cover, and some of this will be repeated later. All right, Q posted this. North Korea defuse Russia testing new missiles. Russia new threat. Coincidence? They must maintain threat to retain power and influence. Are you awake? Right. So now that the tensions in North Korea have been diffused with peace talks, Russia is testing missiles. They are saber rattling. They are threatening because they want to maintain control. Just remember, if we end up going to the peace negotiations with Syria and Iran, that is going to mean that Russia loses their control. And Russia does not want to lose control of its satellite nations. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. And I need to address this. People have been asking me. Didn't Q say that the CIA is in control of North Korea and the CIA is in control of Iran? Yes, Q did say that. So why do I keep saying that Russia is in control of Iran and China is in control of North Korea? Okay, think about it this way. Can North Korea do economic trade with the CIA? No, it can't. Can Iran purchase uranium from the CIA? No, it can't. Iran purchases uranium from Russia. North Korea purchases a lot of what it consumes as a nation from China. You have to have an actual nation as your trading partner, as the country that helps prop you up. So while the CIA is influencing the political agendas of those nations, the economic agendas are under the influence of Russia and China. There's a separation. You can't just say that the country is under control of the CIA, because it's just not that simple. It's a more complex issue. There are multiple entities that control different nations. So again, keep that in the back of your mind. All right. As North Korea moves away from control of other nations, Russia flexes its muscle. There's lots of articles out there about Russia testing rockets and threatening. If we take any action in Syria, Russia is threatening. We'll talk more about that later. So Q posted this. Our thoughts and prayers are with the 4 U.S. Marines from the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing who lost their lives in yesterday's Southern California helicopter crash. We pray for their families and our great Marine Corps. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. Q posted this. Twitter clowns Operation Q-T2810C, false drops, bot push, future conspiracy push to normies, bad mixed with good, taint, they're scared. All right. So CIA is continuing to exert its influence on Twitter. There is this continuing narrative that conservatives are all Russian bots, that all conservative accounts are being backed by Russian bots, are not real, and that they're trying to convince mainstream people, normies, that conservative agenda is actually backed by Russian bots. It's being controlled by, it's kind of like what they did with the election, that Hillary lost the election now because of Russian bots, because of Russian advertising, because Russia was involved in everything. So that's the narrative that's going out, is that there's a mix of legitimate and illegitimate posts. And that is because Twitter is scared. Q posted this. MZ to step down as chairman of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg out of US. Hey Jack, good luck. This was posted on the 4th. Today's the 11th. Zuckerberg was actually testifying before Congress today, but he was out of the country at the time. It'll be interesting to see if Zuckerberg does step down as chairman of Facebook. And Q is signaling to Jack that you're next, basically. A lot of problems with Facebook, as we know. Here's an article that Facebook sent a doctor on a secret mission to ask hospitals to share basically secret patient information so they could aggregate the data and target those people with different products. Zuckerberg is testifying today. I listened to a little bit of it this morning. He is trying to put the nice, happy face on everything, but things are not going well for Facebook. So Q posted this. The omnibus bill, it's basically just full of money for greedy lobbyists and politicians. Example, Gateway Bridge Project, $1.8 million for Cory Booker, Singapore, $3.5 million for Chuck Schumer, Israel, $400,000 for Chris Christie, Mary Pat, U.S. Omnibus bill, the gift that keeps on giving. This is an article about how Congress got around Trump's threat to veto the Gateway Bridge. It's a tunnel bridge project between New Jersey and New York. And Chuck Schumer and Robert Menendez have been pushing this thing forever. And they're going to get a lot of money out of this from, unions and private interests and lobbyists. So Trump is not happy about the spending bill. And we'll see what happens to that in the future. Oh, by the way, Paul Ryan announced today that he is not going to be running for re-election in the fall. He's out. So a lot of people will be happy about that. Q posted this. Hussein timeline, January 20th, 2017 through today. Cross that against POTUS's schedule. Cross it against White House visitor log from 11/22 to January 18th, 2017. That's when Trump took over and was inaugurated. This will become very relevant soon. Let me just show you this. This is a timeline that one of the Anons put together. It's just beginning and has a lot of different meetings. So the Anons are working on that. They're creating timelines, and apparently Q says very soon that'll be important. This is a link to the White House visitor log. Anyone who's doing research, this is called obamawhitehouse.archives.gov. There are lots of resources out there you can use if you're researching this to put together the timelines. Q posted this. The Analysis Corporation, TAC, happy hunting. So the Anons went digging, and found some interesting stuff about the Analysis Corporation. Analysis Corporation is basically a counterterrorism national security consulting firm founded by none other than former head clown John Brennan. It is located in McLean, Virginia. So here is a quick about on the Analysis Corporation. And this is a little bit of the Wikipedia article on Analysis Corporation. You can look that up if you're interested in that. I think Q brought that up because it's going to be interesting. And Q posted this, and Anon made some observations about that. Q said, track the edits, watch for the magic bot. Q on the Wikipedia page for the Analysis Corporation. The Magic Bot is a program authorized by Wikipedia to install protection templates on pages that don't have them. These protection templates prevent unauthorized edits of Wikipedia pages. So you can find this on Wikipedia. The interesting thing about that is I learned about the Magic Bot when Q posted back in, it was February 7th, about live from China. This was at the King Tower in, I think it was in Shanghai. They did a live takedown of somebody. We see you live was the thing. Well, I'm guessing it was one of the Anons. Went on February 8th, the next day, and they edited the tower of the Wikipedia page of the King Tower. And you can see here in the red box on February 8th that someone added a PP protected template. And there were revisions that were made on the 7th and 8th where some of the Anons basically went on there and said, hey, Q and the team took down some criminals at the King Tower. And there was a bunch of posts on the King Tower's Wikipedia page. So somebody came along and added a protection template so they couldn't change the page anymore. So when Q says, watch out for the Magic Bot, that's what he's talking about. All right. And Anon posted this, noting that YouTube plans to link to Wikipedia pages to correct conspiracy theory videos. And that's something that I've talked about in the past in previous videos, that basically YouTube and Google are going to try to correct the record. If you post videos that they deem to be conspiracy theories, they're going to post Wikipedia pages to sort of straighten out the story and debunk the nonsense of us conspiracy people. Q said about that, said, hey, you're learning, follow the loop. And I'm wondering if that is a reference to Loop Capital. Q had talked extensively about Loop Capital in the past, back in, I think, January and February, and that there are some very sketchy connections in Loop Capital. A lot of the Obama administration people are involved in Loop Capital, so I'm not sure the connection there, but that's something to look into. And Anon had mentioned that the caravan of people marching to the southern border was called off. This is a report by Hannity. Crisis canceled. And Q reposted that and then responded. It was used against them. National Guard is now active, referred to old drops regarding SA, Saudi Arabia, and NG National Guard, the wave, Q. So if you're doing research, you want to look back, and you know it's easy enough to do. If you go on like a website like the Q Posts site, which is right here, if you go in here and just type in NG, and then what it'll do is it will pull up Q Posts that have NG in the, some of these Q pages are searchable, and it'll just give you posts that have that search term. So the issue with researching something like SA, Saudi Arabia, is it's going to give you every post that has any words that have SA in them. So if it has sand, or if it has any word that has a combination of SA, you're going to pull that up. All right, moving along. Q asked us to estimate the collective wealth, and let's see. I'm missing the post from Q on that. But Q asked us to estimate the collective wealth of religious organizations and then look at the financing of the Vatican, which took out a loan from the Rothschilds in 1832. Q was essentially saying that the Vatican is leveraged to the Rothschilds. They owe a lot of money, and the Rothschilds are controlling it. And then asked about the Council of Cardinals, which is a group appointed by Pope Francis. It's a group that was appointed recently. They look like a means to bring outside influence, maybe the CIA, into the operations of the Vatican. You can look that up on Wikipedia. Here's the article. Q then said, "We don't say his name, adios. The protected flow into Arizona is no more. Under the cover of his health, he will not be seeking another term." So Q is basically saying that McCain set up a flow of illegals into Arizona for a specific purpose, to help complete the globalist agenda of bringing lots of illegals into our country. Hang on a sec, gotta get a drink of water. So an Anon asked if there is a strategic purpose for the wall that isn't being made public, and referenced a telegram. Let me read this to you. Quick question. The wall can't just be for stopping drugs, assassins, and child traffickers. Which other nations were or are planning to use Mexico as an attack vector in the event of war? Is there another Zimmerman telegram we don't know about? And the Zimmerman telegram was a cable between Germany and Mexico during World War I. It basically, Germany was offering an alliance with Mexico to help defeat us. And if Mexico agreed to it, they were going to be given back Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. So this alliance, the cable was intercepted by British intelligence. So the Anon is asking, there's got to be a strategic purpose for the wall. Trump wouldn't be, stumping for the wall that hard if it wasn't really strategic. And so Q says, would you invade a country whereby a good portion of its citizens were armed, the ultimate deterrent? Okay, so obviously a lot of nations have hesitated to invade the United States because a lot of us are armed. But going back to this previous, there are many things at the wall it would potentially stop. Terrorists from coming in, assassins. That open border just allows all kinds of people with bad agendas to come through. And it is a national security issue. And a lot of people don't see that, but Trump sees it, and that's why he's pushing for the wall. And that's why they've moved the National Guard. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey has deployed 200 National Guardsmen to the Arizona border. I believe Texas has deployed 500 to their border. So the military, National Guard is going to be there, and actually active duty military will probably end up being there too. Q then posted this. Jared Cohen coming soon to a theater near you. Q. All right, so Jared Cohen is new to Q posts. Here's a Wikipedia page. Cohen is basically, he's a mover and shaker with Google, Council on Foreign Relations. He's connected to a lot of different people in the Obama administration. You can find a few articles. This is a fact sheet on him. He has done a lot of work with Google and their artificial intelligence. And this is a perspective from Julian Assange. He actually wrote an op-ed. He said, Cohen worked with the White House and the State Department. This is under former administrations, and did what the CIA couldn't do. Cohen is effectively Google's director of regime change, heavily involved in Syria, in Iran, I believe, in the Middle East. And he's a sketchy character. A lot of stuff going on with him. So you can have fun looking into his activities, but Q said he will be coming soon to a theater near us, so look for that. Q posted this: "We are sincerely appreciative for your kind words and appreciation means more than you know. Each one read in full. We are in this together. Where we go one, we go all. 2018 will be glorious. God bless, Q." And Anon responded to Q's post suggesting that Trump had spoken to Kim Jong-un months earlier. Here's the Trump's tweet about North Korea. Anon says, "Hey, I bet Trump already talked to Putin too." Well, that is true. Q responded, "Peace through strength." And we know that actually on March 20th, according to reports that were leaked by the Kremlin, Trump did invite Putin to the White House for a summit. And that is probably going to be happening in the next few months. So while there's all this talk of World War III, I mean, if you go on, I saw Alex Jones, he's been doing some spots lately about World War III is coming. Just to let you know, I kind of consider myself the anti-Alex Jones. Not that I hate Alex Jones. I think Alex Jones is cool. But I am the opposite. I have an opposite perspective of Alex Jones. Rather than getting people kind of afraid and fearful about World War III and about, the deep state's going to take us down and everything's, kind of a conspiracy. My thing is, I think there's a lot of reason to be hopeful and optimistic. I don't think there's that much reason to be fearful of World War III. And look, my Twitter thread that I'm doing right now here got busted up the morning after I posted this thread. I went to look at it on Twitter and all the links were broken. All these little lines that link all the tweets together, they were all gone. And I was thinking, you got to be kidding me. I worked on this thread and all the tweets, the links were severed. You could pull up a tweet and there was no tweets connected before or after it. They're all just individual tweets. And I started thinking, okay, great. So Twitter's after me now. And then I went this morning to do this video and all the links were restored. Everything's back the way it's supposed to be. So I think it was probably just a software glitch. Rather than being a deep state, plot to get me and take me out. I think it's probably just a software glitch. Anyway, moving along. Q posted this on the night of the 4th. He was very busy on the 4th. POTUS will be up all night. Pray. Watch the news tomorrow. Q. And this is also on the 4th, sorry. 5:5 Q plus. In the past, my friends from the military have said that 5x5 means loud and clear. That Q and the team are hearing everything loud and clear. Q plus, I believe, is Q and his team. This was the night of the 5th. Q posted, "Thank you for your prayers. Forced reaction. One of many vehicles. Intercepts. Night brackets 2. Birds. Fast movers. Forced projection. April showers. Q." One of the Anons did a little decode, and I kind of like this. Q didn't repost it, but I think this is a good way to look at Q's post. Thank you for your prayers. The Anon says, always. Forced reaction. Had to move on something sooner than planned. One of many vehicles. Lots of balls being juggled right now. Intercepts. Got some intel that needed immediate action against. Night brackets 2. The silent war again tonight. Protecting USA while we sleep. Birds involves helicopters and jets. Fast jets, fast movers. This could also be fast moving people who are moving around in different places, trying to do things. Force projection. Show of force and defense for optics. April showers. Every day is productive. Q posted this, which suggests that the military aircraft crashes are not by accident. There's a link to CBS News article about the Thunderbird jet that crashed, killed a pilot. Q says, coincidence or silent war? Pray, night, brackets 2Q. Here's a link to the article about the airplane crash. And we're going to be talking more about that in a few minutes, so I'll just move along for now. Q responded to a previous post. We are under attack. It is a link to a YouTube video. War, no deals, Q. And then an Anon said, cross-reference that with this post. We are under attack. Q said on 4-3, war, also on 4-3. What the hell is going on? Dig Patriots. So Q just reposted this thing saying, yes, get digging. We are at war, and we need to know what's happening. Q posted this, think Navy ship crashes. It's bigger than you know. We are active. Q. The CNN article here talks about the collisions and crashes at sea. I think there's 6 different ships that have had accidents. And this is another article saying that a freighter was on autopilot when it hit a U.S. destroyer. And the question that's raised in this article is actually, if the accident happened while the ship was on autopilot, it raises the possibility that the ship's navigation system was hacked and the ship deliberately hit the destroyer. And that is what Q is getting at, that these accidents are not accidental. So one of the Anons posted this, satellite hack, GPS spoof, and Q reposted that. And then said, what fell from space recently? Accident or retaliation? Q. Well, what fell from space recently was China's space station, which crashed. And yes, Q is suggesting that it may not have been an accident. So I'll let you draw your own conclusions on that. Q asked, when was Hussein in China? Track the events, timeline, we are in control, W. Yes, he accidentally wrote W. And one of the Anons asked, was that a typo? And Q says, confirmed typo. So Obama visited China, India, and France in November of 2017. This is the diplomat.com article on it. Q posted a link to the video. It's the military power video. We've seen that before. I am not going to play it in my video because I don't want to take a chance on getting a copyright strike. So you can check that out if you want to see it or listen to it. Q posted this, booms and route, blind, 5x5, and then there's this green underscore 578CDT4324-45785SD4 at DDMP. I have no idea what that means. I know the booms en route means that there's big stuff coming, and sit tight. They're seeing and hearing loud and clear. And then Q posted this, device hold comms transfer, castle, chatter, rig for silent, Q+, Q and the team. Rig for silent running is used by submarine commanders. When a submarine wants to go silent, they shut off all communications so that enemy ships can't pick up any radio signals or anything like that, so they rig for silent running. That means not going to be any communications for a while. All right, so people have been speculating that Trump is ready to replace Jeff Sessions. Trump posted this the morning of the 6th. Do you believe that fake news media is pushing hard on a story that I'm going to replace Sessions with EPA Chief Scott Pruitt, who's doing a great job but is totally under siege? Do people really believe this stuff? So much of the media is dishonest and corrupt. And I posted this article It's an opinion on the New York Times about the conspiracy theory about Q. And if you haven't read this, you need to read it. It is pretty darn funny. And it's just talking a lot of trash about the Q conspiracy theory. And I find it funny because the more the mainstream media talks about Q, the more public interest there's going to be in Q. And they're trying to knock down the story and to try to discredit Q, but they don't realize they're just asking more people to come out and look into Q and find out what's going on. And as soon as I posted this article on Twitter, Q posted the link to the article. It was like 5 minutes later. So that's the article right there. Here we go, Q. Yeah, this is a little spoof. Q said, would you believe they called the White House for comment prior to publishing? Q. Hey, this is Michelle Goldberg with The Times. Can I please speak with Q? I'm sorry, Michelle. He's busy posting, but I'll tell him you called. Now, it was not mentioned in the article that the New York Times tried to contact the White House for comment, but Q says they called the White House for comment. So how would Q know that? I'll let you be the judge there. Q posted this. It is a link to a Fox News article about the aircraft crashes that are continuing. This is a link to the article. And it's just again, it's a look at the string of aircraft crashes that have killed 5 members of the military this week. Q then posted this, and this is where I was kind of on the road and I was not able to post my normal post. So Q said a picture of Obama, and the ring. It says Christian ? Ring, Christian ring. Pics will surface of Hussein holding an AK-47 in tribal attire. One of many. Net shut down Q. And Q then posted this. Fake pic push by MSM. Videos backup. Google kill. YouTube kill. Facebook kill. Twitter kill. Yahoo kill. Bing kill. Instagram kill. Net will be paused. Hammer on the clock. Q. So Q is basically saying when these pictures of Obama come out, the mainstream media is going to call them fake, and the social media platforms will try to remove them as being fake news or whatever, conspiracy theories. It may even cause for network disruptions on the internet for a while. So something to look forward to. Q then posted this, an Anon. Let's see, yeah, an Anon said, how soon? Q said, we don't inform our enemies of the specifics. We instead instill fear in them to make unplanned and disastrous countermoves. Q. That is why Trump always tells us his goals, but doesn't tell about strategies and tactics. You just have to wait and see when it's going to happen. Q said this, Epicenter, Full House. They're all here. 24/7, 365. Enjoy the show. The eyes of the world are on Q's board. Now everybody's watching Q. Everybody who's interested in this stuff. There's a lot more. The deep state and probably Congress and probably other people that we don't know about are watching the board. Q said, this is a post from an Anon. Normies don't give a crap if Obama is Muslim with a gun. They won't care. Q said, the important point is who Hussein is aiming the gun at. Red, white, and blue. Spray. Q. I don't know exactly. I mean, I know what that is referencing to. But when the picture comes out, apparently it is going to make people care. Q then posted this, connect via past religious leaders regarding Hussein. We have everything they know we do. Risk. Q. I hope that's a reference to the game of Risk. I loved Risk. I used to play it a lot when I was a kid with my brothers. So connect to previous religious leaders. Is he talking about Jeremiah Wright? I don't know. But Q wants us to go back and do some connecting with previous religious leaders that Obama has been connected to. Q posted this. Think NK, North Korea. Think nuke stranglehold. Think logically. Timeline. Plan. Are you awake? Q. So, there is a plan. The way that Trump got North Korea to agree to denuclearize and come to the peace talks was strategically planned out. And if you look at how Trump did it, you can see how he's going to bring Syria and Iran to peace talks. You just wait, it's going to happen. And Anon thanked Q for lifting his spirits. Thank you for making my terrible day a little better. Feeling a bit like POTUS today. I had a coworker lie about his screw-up and blamed it on me. My heart goes out to President Trump. The attack made on me is minuscule in comparison to the attacks that our president and now the Q team experience on a daily basis. I wish I could give all of y'all a big hug and express to you how grateful I am for what y'all are doing for us and our country. I'm so thankful we have the president who calls out the media and knows his people are smart enough to discern the truth for themselves. We are sick of the conjecture and half-assed journalism, so thank you again for everything. It means worlds more than you could ever know for us to have a president who believes in the greatness of we, the people. Do you think POTUS could give us a confirmation, kind of like a symbolic hug? Sending my love and prayers. Godspeed. So Q reposted that and then said, stand strong, patriots together. Q. Time for another drink. Sit tight. All right. More experimenting. Still on the road. So, and Anon, let me click on this and see if I can read it. And Anon posted this, Backpage.com and affiliated websites have been seized by the FBI. This was an internet site where a lot of people were selling different things. Unfortunately, it got taken over by some people who were sex trafficking, child trafficking, and so it got taken down. Q said that didn't take long. Preparation, strength test, for God and country, we fight for freedom. Q. This article about the feds charging the Backpage founder after a human trafficking investigation. And Anon found another boom. Breaking news. Texas GOP Blake Farenthold abruptly resigns from Congress amid sexual misconduct allegations. Q responded, that didn't take long. Border state. Coincidence? Q. I'm not sure what the border state connection is there, but here's an article. He had actually said that he was going to not run for re-election, but the heat got turned up and his sexual impropriety got so big that he decided to just step down. So he is gone. And now we go into this thread regarding one of the Anons posted this picture, and Q said, look up Ray Chandler, none are safe. This is a picture of, I believe, Prince Andrew and I forget her name. We'll talk about that in just a second. Oh, here's the backstory. Virginia Roberts claimed that when she was a teenager, she was forced to have sex with Prince Andrew. And you can read that article. There's a lot of articles out there. It's interesting. I had a dream last night about a prince, royalty, who someone put into his sphere of influence a person who had a disability or some kind of a mental illness. And it was done intentionally to shame that the person of royalty for disregarding or not knowing about this person's disability. So there's some weird stuff going on with regard to royalty and well-known people. So an Anon found this picture of Ray Chandler, and there's a ton of information out there if you're interested in looking into this. Rachel, she goes by Ray Chandler. Some people have said it's Ray the child handler because she's been well connected to the pedophilia that's going on Epstein's Island. Q posted this: why is Eminem so vocal against POTUS? Biggest connection is missing. Focus on friends. 2, 1 female, 1 male. 1 president got a presidential pardon. 1 was 187 by MS-13, killed by MS-13. What was the purpose? Q. And Anon found this older picture of Rachel Chandler with Bill Clinton. Q said, this was taken on Epstein's plane. Who is she? Follow her friends. Friends lead to others. Open source. Q. So the Anons have been digging into all of that. And one of the Anons volunteered to call the FBI. West Coast FBI is still open. Anyone called yet? I'll do it. What info? Just the Instagram account. And Q said, operators on standby. And then Q then later posted and said, connection made. Our Rachel Chandler end. We have grounds reverting. Thank you, Q. So kind of bringing a resolution to that situation. And Anon asked about the pedo referenced in recent posts. Q, was pedo drop narrative in recent bread a distraction or was it planned? And Q responded, it wasn't planned, but it was necessary. So that's an interesting response. They didn't plan on making that reference, but they had to do it. Let's see. This is Anon noticed that President Trump ended the catch and release program. Breaking 911 verified account. President Trump sends memorandum ending catch and release immigration policy from Reuters. The Anon says, woohoo, good job, Mr. President. And Q responded, sorry, watch the news, Q. It's down there on the bottom. If I mouse over it, you can't see it. Q responded with this, what a coincidence. And there's a CNN article about Roseanne and Q. And this is a link to the article. Roseanne tweets support of Trump conspiracy theory and confuses Twitter because basically it's Roseanne posted this tweet where she was asking people, who is QAnon? And then she's added all these other tweets and talking about Q. So people are confused because and some of the tweets she claims not to know who Q is and other ones she does. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can. And Anon asked if this old post was real or fake. This is just, oh gosh. Some of the things that people post just make me laugh. This is an old post on 4chan from November, I think. Where is CC right now? What does he hope to accomplish there? Would they be willing to help him? Why? What does war with NK mean for them? Why haven't they put an end to them before it escalated to this point? Follow the glowing rabbit who stands to benefit from the annihilation of NK. Why would SA purge ahead of these actions? What interest do they have in Asia? Mystery machine. Everything is connected. Plus, plus, plus Q. So let me zoom out a little bit. So Q said, Anon asked Q, is this real or fake? And Q said fake. There's so much fake stuff going on out there now. Look, the CIA is flooding 4chan and 8chan with fake Q stuff. And I don't know, a lot of people have been following the Fifth Avenue because the Fifth Avenue Anon has been posting a lot of stuff that sounds like Q. And it looks like Q and it smells like Q. But Q has told us previously he's not going to post on any other board under any other handle. So there's a lot of stuff out there that sounds and looks like Q. And so it's probably CIA misinformation and distraction. I would stay away from it. I know that a lot of people just want to dig and they want to know and they want to be in on everything that's going on and they want to check out everything, but a lot of it is just a waste of time. I have enough to do just keeping up on what Q is posting without trying to keep up on what the fake Qs are posting. So maybe that's just me. So Q posted this, noting a lack of Twitter's response to the Rachel Chandler traffic. Spread out by design, MSNBC Next at Jack. No PG bot push. Post Rachel Chandler. Saving it for Monday. Waiting. Open the door. At Snowden. Close to door. Q. So I think, like I said, this was just Q expecting Twitter to do some kind of knockdown on the Rachel Chandler thing, and it didn't happen. Q posted an anon who said the latest interview with Loretta Lynch looks like it's intended to preempt some bad news. I'll just read this. It's a tweet, NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, that Lynch is going to be discussing former FBI Director James Comey and her airplane meeting with President Clinton during the 2016 campaign. The anon said, hey, it sounds like someone wants to get ahead of a bad potential bombshell story. Q responded, or Q just reposted this, saying that, yeah, they are trying to get ahead of a story. They're bringing out Loretta Lynch so she can set the narrative straight about what happened on the tarmac. And we've already heard this story a million times because they know that that tape is coming out, the Clinton tape. I believe when Q said about this audio or video, whatever it is, that it's about Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, possibly Hillary, having their conversation on the tarmac. So mainstream media is getting ready for it. Q posted a link to an Instagram image which he said was taken by Ray Chandler on Epstein's Island at night. Here's the link. Q said the island, night, brackets 3, Q. All right, are you ready? So here's the image. It looks like a bank of closed-circuit cameras. Hallways, tunnels, there's some very strange stuff going on. This one over here, channel 10, looks like a bunch of people. There's some people laying on tables. There's some pretty disturbing images in here. And the Instagram thing here says lots of bedrooms. Hashtag silver, hashtag QAnon, this is sick. Yeah, what is this? Screenshot this for sure. So one of the Anons zoomed in on channel 10 and found this. He said, look, there's a map. There is a map up here on this wall. You can see it if you get a little better image of it. You can see there's someone laying on a table here. It's a child. Someone sitting here. There's some strange stuff going on. Q posted this. Pay attention. This was on the 7th. China, Chongqing, Tuesday, Q. So that was a little time-locked thing that on Tuesday something was going to be dropped about Chongqing. And then he posted this, which is a link to a Fox News article about soldiers who were killed in a helicopter crash at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Q asked, coincidence? Statistically impossible? Pray, day, brackets 1, Q. This is a link to the Fox News article, 2 soldiers killed, helicopter crash, Fort Campbell. Q posted this, you have more than you know, steel, tech, America for sale, systematic weakening of the U.S., Uranium One, cash flow funnel, inside job, traders, money, we are in control, those who are awake can see, Q. And then Q posted this, which is a link to it's a Twitter retweet where the president tweeted a video of his weekly address. It says, listen carefully. This is a link to the video. You might want to give a listen to this. It's pretty good. The president is pretty upset about things. He is calling out the Dems, and he is not happy about the way things are going. I'm not going to play it because, again, it's a publicly available video, but I don't want to take a chance of getting a copyright strike on my account. So you can find that on the president's Twitter timeline, or you can go to the White House site and listen to it, or it's on YouTube. And Anon asked Q to confirm that the president was speaking to Q. Please confirm or tell us if we're wrong about the president's weekly address. It's happening. Meaning, does it mean what we think it means? Q says, we're talking to you, Anon. We always see it's happening here. The tone, war, April showers. Q. All right. Q posted this, EHCA, relevant soon. I believe this is Eric Holder in California. Then Q posted, border states are very key, bigger than you can imagine. The pipeline, not R versus D. California is special. Public will learn. Q. Border states are key. There's a pipeline of drugs, of illegal aliens, of human trafficking, drug trafficking, terrorists, all coming through. And a lot of them come through California. And Eric Holder, EH, has been retained by the California State Senate, although not the Assembly, to help craft their anti-Trump legal strategy. So Q says that is going to become relevant very soon. Jeff Sessions and the DOJ are going to war against the state of California. California has kind of gone rogue. The government has anyway. And the president and the DOJ are unfortunately having to battle a rogue state that wants to do things their own way. So buckle up, because it's going to get more interesting. Q posted a link to a CNN article. And this basically is, let's see if I got the article down here. Yeah, that's a different one. It is an article that says that the Trump campaign was desperately digging to find Hillary Clinton emails, even going so far as to look for them on the dark web, on 8chan, basically. Q says, read between the lines, front page, fake news, Q. And what Q is saying here is that CNN and the mainstream media are now going to try to discredit 8chan and 4chan and the research being done there, calling it the dark web, and saying that Trump is desperate to find emails and he'll do anything to get them, including going on the dark web. This is the link to the article here. So moving along. Yeah, one of the Anons found it incredible that CNN referred to 8chan as the dark web. Q responded, new tactic, buckle up. Media matters, 4chan, narrative plus anything Q, clowns and Twitter push, mainstream media is an overdrive, all for a LARP, Q. So then they have a new tactic. They're going to try to discredit, media matters will try to discredit 4chan and 8chan. Anything to do with Q is going to be called conspiracy. CIA is going to be working with Twitter to push that narrative. Mainstream media is losing it. So, again, buckle up, folks. Q reposted this, which was the, I think the Operation Justice, the March for Freedom event that Tracy Beans was involved in on the 7th. And Q responded, Patriots, stand together. Strength, power, they want you divided. Q. If I'm not mistaken, Tracy Beans got to meet the president that night. She did like a 3-hour Periscope. I saw the beginning of it. I couldn't stay on the whole thing because I was on the road and I was meeting family. But at the very end of the video, 3 hours later, she's like, I got to meet the president. I got to shake his hand. It was so cool. So she was pretty excited about that. All right. Let's move along. Q dropped this night brackets 4 increase in chatter, authorized or authority or authorization B19-2 Sparrow red, prevent at all costs, good, Castle online Q. I would be lying if I told you that I know what that means, but I suspect it has something to do with this evolving situation in Syria, and they're monitoring the CIA and what's going on. Q then posted this, prevent authorized or authorization first S Castle _green, and there's a stringer FRYHD 5894 numbers and letters, contact window OK Q. Again, I don't know what all that means. However, I would say that this probably, I think, is a list of goals that Trump has with respect to Syria. Goal number 1 is to prevent war. If they're not able to prevent war, I think Trump has authorized Mattis to, he's authorized a first strike if necessary, if the situation gets out of hand. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Don't get freaked out because there is a plan. Contact window, okay. So just operational stuff. Q posted this regarding comms, tracking good, relay back channel S-WH-E-P1, fly high. My decode. They're tracking, they have good comms, they're relaying information via a back channel to Syria through the White House and another entity, which is E. I don't know who that was, and that is priority 1, highest priority. Fly high. Could be a reference to satellites or monitoring aircraft. Q said it is not a coincidence that a chemical attack came in response to the president's announcement that he wants to pull our troops out of Syria. I believe the chemical attack was an attempt to goad Trump into making a first strike and then begin a war. And this is what Q posted. They're trying to start a war, deflection, public interest shift, pull-out announcement, chemical attack. Coincidence? These people are sick. Q. So, right, I just think that, and Trump he made his announcement that he wanted to pull the troops out of Syria, and boom, 2 days later, there was a chemical attack. Q has been suggesting that the CIA is behind it. And even though Trump has been saying that Assad is an animal and Assad is gassing his own people, Q has been saying that in secret they believe it's actually the CIA that is behind this. So there's a public narrative and there's a private narrative, and we need to realize that Trump feels like he has to say things for a certain reason. This is an article where Trump announced that he wanted all of our troops out of Syria immediately, and that the generals are trying to convince him to keep the troops there. This is an ongoing situation. This was the morning of the 8th. Trump tweeted this about Syria: many dead, including women and children, in mindless chemical attack on Syria. Area of atrocities in lockdown and encircled by Syrian army, making it completely inaccessible to the outside world. President Putin, Russia, and Iran are responsible for backing Animal Assad. Big price. So, Trump, pay attention here. Trump is saying Putin and Iran are responsible. Who is Trump going to hold responsible for the bad behavior of Syria? He is holding Iran and Russia responsible. He did the same thing with North Korea. North Korea's bad behavior, they're firing off missiles and developing nuclear weapons. Trump held China responsible because China is backing North Korea. So Trump went hard on China to get them to back off and get control of North Korea. He is going to do the same thing with Syria. Trump is not going to deal directly with Syria. He is going to deal with Iran and Russia because they are backing Assad. Assad is a puppet. That is Trump's plan. He's going to get them to the peace table but he's going to hold Putin accountable. And all of the talk about Putin using that nerve agent and that former Russian agent and this attack, the chlorine attack, you have to understand something. It doesn't matter who did the attacks. It does not matter. I know a lot of people are angry and pissed off. There's no evidence that it was Assad. There's no evidence it was Putin. This is all a pretext for war. No, it is not a pretext for war. It is a pretext for peace. It does not matter who did the attacks. What matters is the public perception of it. Trump has been rallying European leaders to bring economic sanctions and to bring, basically bring them together against Putin. He's not trying to create a war. He's trying to get Putin to come to the table and talk peace. And it's peace through strength. He is rallying his allies against Putin, not to cause a war. He wants to get them to the table. And he's going to put Putin in a vice, and he's going to get Putin in a very uncomfortable position. Through economic sanctions, through trade issues, through whatever he can use, he'll use every lever he can. And Putin will eventually get pissed off enough and come to Trump and say, okay, what do you want? And Trump will say, we need peace with Iran and Syria. Let's sit down and let's work out a long-term peace agreement. That is where all of this is going. All right. Thank you for listening. And then this is continuing this tweet. Big price to pay. Open the area immediately for medical help and verification. Another humanitarian disaster for no reason whatsoever. Sick. And of course, we know that Q always posts, these people are sick. Trump put in the sick there. So, just me making connections. Vice President Mike Pence, the same day, I closely monitoring likely chemical attack in Syria. We condemn it in the strongest possible terms. The assault on innocent lives, including children. The Assad regime and its backers must end their barbaric behavior. As POTUS said, big price to pay for those responsible. So Pence and Trump are on the same page, obviously. And remember, Q said, this is from a previous post. Q said, one of the Anons said, hey, I'm ready to go to war. I'm ready to go fight. And Trump said, Q said, you elected us to do the heavy lifting. Enjoy the show. Who did we elect? And look, I know Q is a team. Q is a team of different people. But when Q says you elected us to do the heavy lifting, Q is signaling. Got to remember, Russia's uranium deal with Hillary could have just been a deep state faction of Russia, though, right? And this is an Anon posting. And another Anon replied to that, and Q posted it. Putin is Russia's president. Okay? His job is to look after the Russian people. Put yourself in his shoes. He wants to win, so why not take advantage of his enemies? Then Trump comes along. Russia and Putin become our ally. Xi becomes our ally. Xi and Putin are also under attack by the deep state, which is rooted globally. And so then Q responds to that. POTUS never telegraphs his moves. Think logically. Why did POTUS announce his intention to pull out of Syria? Moves and counter moves. These people are stupid and sick. Q. Right. If Trump never telegraphs his moves, but announced his intention to pull the troops out of Syria, that is something he never does. Remember, he always criticized Obama for telling, hey, we're going to pull our troops out. We're going to move our troops into Mosul in 4 weeks, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Obama told everything that was going to happen strategically and tactically. Trump never does that. Okay? Why did Trump tell the world he wanted to pull his troops out of Syria? It was strategic. The only time Trump ever says anything that has to do with strategy and tactics is if it's to his advantage. All right? He is setting up a strategy here that is going to be used to his advantage. So they have a plan, and we just need to chill and realize that plan is going to come to fruition in time. And look, this is something else worth considering. During the 2016 campaign, Hillary said we needed a no-fly zone over Syria. You remember that? It was during one of the debates. And Trump was like, are you crazy? If you enforce a no-fly zone over Syria, that means we're going to war with Russia. If Russia lands any aircraft in the Syrian airport, we're going to shoot them down, and that's going to be World War III. Hillary and her deep state handlers could not wait to start a war with Russia. And Q told us that was part of the plan. World War III. That was what Hillary was going to do. She was going to provoke North Korea or Iran and Russia into a war. That was the plan. The deep state still wants war. Trump's strategy is to avoid war and make peace with Russia, Syria, and Iran. And if you are patient and you are willing to wait, you're going to see how this all plays out. All right. So Q posted this the morning of the 8th. POTUS and JFK Jr. relationship. Plane crash, 1999. Hillary Senate run, 2000. The start. Enjoy the show, Q. And now we're getting down another rabbit hole. So there's some kind of a relationship connection between Trump and JFK Jr. Wants us to look into the plane crash that killed JFK Jr. in 1999. He was flying to Martha's Vineyard, I believe, and the FAA and the National Transportation Safety Board said it was pilot error. He got disoriented, lost his bearings, and crashed the plane, basically. Yes, Trump and JFK Jr. do have some history. I guess we get to dig into that, don't we? More on that in a minute. And Anon asked Q if Trump was hunkering down today. Q said in the Situation Room. This was on the 8th when all the Syria situation was going on. And so Q is telling us that the president is in a Situation Room. How would Q know that? All right. Q posted a link to a Wall Street Journal article. This was, let me click on this. Just read it for you. It's about North Korea is ready to discuss denuclearization. And Q says, after all these years, no mainstream media positive media blast. Think, now Syria, Iran, Russia flex through missile tech. We started asking coincidence long ago for a specific reason. Those who are awake can finally see it for themselves. Conspiracy, have faith, trust the plan, Q. And you can look up that article if you want, but it's just an article saying that North Korea is willing to discuss denuclearization, and Q wants to know, why is the mainstream media going after that? Why aren't they all jubilant about North Korea wanting to denuclearize? There's a reason for that. Q asked about John McCain. We don't say his name. No name in Syria. Timeline. Purpose. Who attended the meeting? No name. Panic. Health. Cover. Fast. Q. Who was at the meeting in Syria with John McCain? Well, there was a lot of terrorists. McCain is chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee. So you always have to think about defense contractors and weapons contractors. It looks to me like McCain's weapons deals, backroom deals, are going to be exposed pretty soon. And there's a lot of different pictures, and we're going to go through some of those at the Anonza post. Q said, you have more than you know. Spiderweb, Q. One of the Anons posted this. Abu Massa is an ISIS press officer, number 1. Number 2 is Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, head of ISIS. Number 3 is McCain. Number 4, Mohammed Noor, Syrian terrorist. Number 5 is Moaz Mustafa, Syrian Emergency Task Force. And then here's a picture over here with a shoulder-fired rocket launcher. And Anand said, hey, we're making connections. Q said, see the spider web. And Anand responded, let me zoom in, it's a pretty small picture. Yes, see the spider web. The question is, do you see the spider webs? Right here. Spider webs on the door. Yes, it was kind of a pun. Q said, location, exact location, Q. Find the exact location of the meeting. So then Q said this, pictures were leaked for this very moment. Who and what is not pictured? What forces shadowed? No name. Contractors, special contractors. What was delivered? Smiles. Exact location, exact. Buildings E of spiderweb. Spiderweb marker. Open source Q. So Q is asking the Anons to dig into this and find out where the exact location was. What was delivered? Who were the contractors? Who followed McCain? Like I said, McCain was chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee. He had weapons contractors following him everywhere. Raytheon and all the different contractors that do all kinds of weapons. And Q said, special contractors, pictures are leaked for this very moment. What is going on right now in Syria? Chemical weapons. All right. Did McCain set up a sale of chemical weapons in the Middle East to these people through the contractors? What was delivered? I'm guessing it was chemical weapons. So if we find the exact location and find out information, we may find out that McCain actually brokered the deal that allowed chemical weapons to go into Syria. And if that's the case, McCain had better be scared. That's just my theory right now. I'm kind of piecing together what Q is saying. That's what it looks like to me. All right. Q posted this. It's a link to a Politico article about Erik Prince and his time with the CIA for 6 years while he was CEO of Blackwater. Q says, think double. Why are we confirming this publicly? Why now? Q. All right. Here is my theory on this. I think that Erik Prince was a double agent. He was on the Trump campaign. Trump trusted him. Prince's time at Blackwater was very productive, but Blackwater got sold, and some very sketchy people got involved in Blackwater later on. It basically got co-opted by the CIA, and then it became something that was not very helpful. Prince was pretty disgusted at what happened to Blackwater after it got sold to another company. I suspect that Prince was planted inside the CIA to get information, to bring it out, information on what the CIA was doing, so bring it out, give it to Trump and the generals so that they could take action on it. I think that is why it's coming out now. So we'll have to see how that works out. This is a link to the Politico article. When I was trying to look at it, it was having problems. I couldn't get it to load, but you can check it out if you want. And Anand found a new picture of McCain's meeting in Syria, which included the photographer. He said, haven't seen this one posted yet. Photographer is included. Q responds, we love phones. No name should know better. Q. Right, so whenever you bring phones into a meeting, the NSA has access to the conversations and any images that you take, and some dummies are taking pictures they probably shouldn't have, so getting more and more pictures of the criminals. I missed this was an earlier post by Q. It was related to the post about John F. Kennedy Jr. and his airplane crash. SIG intercept, and there's a link here to a PDF, old to new, as the world turns, Q. That link goes to a single page document on the CIA website about the transfer of authority of this Earth satellite program. This is dated in 1956, and it's between Dulles, who is head of the CIA at the time. It's just very short. An agency decision has been reached establishing OSI as a focal point on the Earth satellite program. The AD has directed the staff supervision of the program will now be the responsibility of the DAD/C, with substantive responsibility assigned to guided missiles. That's number one. Number two is, accordingly, action on the attached letter to Mr. Dulles is assigned to collection staff. It's suggested that Mr. Furness be contacted immediately and arrangements made for office representative to attend tomorrow's meeting. That's it. So the question is, what does this have to do with JFK and his airplane crash? Okay, well, here's my theory. I think that Q is said old to new. Old strategies, old systems, old technology being used in more recent times for nefarious purposes. Satellites are used for navigation, especially aircraft navigation. If you're flying aircraft by instruments, you're totally reliant on satellites to aid in navigation. Okay. What if JFK Jr.'s aircraft navigation was spoofed by the CIA? What if recent military aircraft crashes are a result of spoofed navigation by the CIA? I think that's where Q is going. I think it's going in the direction of the CIA has been messing with people's navigation satellites for a while. And one of the Anons asked this question. So the same way they're crashing them now, aircraft, is how they crashed his, basically. Interesting. Many of us have thought for years that Hillary took him out and was connected. And by the way, As the World Turns. If you didn't know it, the soap opera As the World Turns was interrupted in 1963 for the breaking news story of JFK's assassination. We knew that the addition of John Bolton was going to cause a little shakeup in the Trump administration. National Security Council spokesman Michael Anton said Sunday he is out of the White House. He's gone. A lot of people leaving under Bolton. Some of them are being fired, some are resigning. And Q warned us ahead of time. It's coming. So Q asked us to watch this video again. Knowing what you know, watch this again. God bless you all. It is that video. This video will get Donald Trump elected. It's about the corruption in the Clinton machine. And again, I'm not going to play it because I don't want to get a strike on my channel. But you can check it out, and you should. Q asked us to note how the people appear in this picture. I'm just going to read this. Flag, security detail background, all looking away, trusted, close proximity. Refugees who worked for the U.S. House and Senate. Traitor, Q. So security detail in the background, these people are all comfortable with McCain. That's because they worked with McCain in the Senate. And Anon posted these images identifying the guy who had not been previously identified, Maoz Mustafa. Pictures of him here and here. This is something on Instagram from his dad. He's in this picture here. And Q posted this. It's a link to his Twitter account. And then one of the Anons came back and read basically off the profile. Born Palestinian refugee, moved to the USA at 12, world traveler, soccer player, worked in the U.S. House and Senate, Egyptian, Libyan, Syrian Revolution, executive director of Syrian ETF, Washington, D.C. Q says, dig, social media contacts, who worked for who, access level, find all pics, bigger than you know, one example of many, Awan, Q. Right. So what Q is telling us is guys like Mustafa and Awan, they are foreigners who come in. They get to work in the House and Senate. They steal intelligence. They steal information. They sell it overseas. Our Congress people are allowing it to happen because America has been for sale under previous administrations. And Awan is just another example of what all these other guys are doing. So Q posted this. Why did Hussein protect ISIS? POTUS, ISIS focus and destroy in 1 year versus Hussein in 8 years versus George W. Bush. DC access, sold out, bring back the gallows. Q. Right. Q is saying, look, it was relatively easy for Trump to decimate ISIS in 1 year. Why did Hussein have 8 years and really do nothing against ISIS? In fact, under Obama's administration, ISIS flourished. Bush had a chance to take him down and really made no headway. Why? Because ISIS had DC access, as do all, and did all of the Middle Eastern terrorist organizations. And these people are traitors, and that's what Q is getting at. And they are going to pay for their indiscretions. Let's see. This is an article, Newsmax article, that Obama had close ties with Prince Al-Walid, going all the way back to when I think Obama was 25 years old. The Saudis were heavily influential in Obama's rise into politics. I believe they assisted and or maybe funded his college education, getting him into Harvard and getting him into the White House. So if you're interested, it's on Newsmax. You can check that out. Q posted this graphic showing members of the military expressing their disgust over the fact that they were forced to fight in a Syrian civil war. I can zoom in a little bit on this, but it's basically, it's just they saying that I didn't join the Marine Corps to fight in a civil war. I didn't join the Navy to fight Al-Qaeda in a Syrian civil war. So that's what all these military people are posting, and Q says no more. Not going to happen. We're done with that. What does that tell you? Hopefully, that tells you that Trump is not interested in getting us involved in Syria's civil war. Okay? No more. Not going to happen. The plan is to get our troops out of Syria. So if you're concerned that Trump is going to get us involved in a war in Syria, you can relax. All of his bluster, all of his saber rattling is part of his strategy to leverage Russia, Iran, and Syria into peace talks. Trump has already told us what his goal is. We're just watching him move the pieces on the board. All right. A long post from Q on the morning of the 9th. Who is arranging? Oh, Christmas in D.C. This is the first thing. Christmas in D.C. D.C., the swamp gets Christmas presents. They get goodies. Who arranges the private meetings? Mark Zuckerberg, campaign contribution promises. Facebook donations since April 2nd of 18. Fresh round of donations out to the swamp. Republicans have been targeted. Censorship and anti-Republican equals more money. So what Q's saying here is Facebook donates more money, or is it more money to Facebook if they censor Republicans and conservatives? There's a relationship here. I'm not sure which way it goes. How do you mask, how to mask those donations? Mark Zuckerberg making personal donations or through a shell company? Recent stock dump. Avoid Facebook public disclosure. Track congressional intake. Reported. Keep open for 6 months. Loud with findings. So who wants us to get loud with what we find? RT. How the DC swamp works. Money talks. Drain the swamp. How do politicians access campaign contributions for personal use? The con. All right. Q has previously mentioned RT, and usually it's in the context is Recife Traverse, which is an Italian. It's not actually Italian. It's funded a startup by a Middle Eastern guy. I think he might be Indian, or I'm not sure. But Recife Traverse, here is the website, and they help companies like Twitter and SpaceX It's a financial group. And Q is suggesting that a lot of these companies fund and they make donations to congressmen through shell companies. And a company like RISV Traverse would be involved in doing that. How do politicians use campaign contributions for private purposes? Well, that is another good question. If you are a politician in Virginia, Virginia election laws allow you to use the money any way you want, as long as your campaign account is being kept open. The year that you close your campaign account, you can't use it for personal gain or personal use. But if the account is being kept open, you can use that money any way you want. This is an article on watchdog.org. Pretty good article. Talks about some of this crazy spending that has been done with leftover campaign money by politicians. And this is a state-by-state thing, so whatever state the politician is from, they're subject to those laws. This is an article from Daily Caller about John McCain, whose name we don't say, and his McCain Institute, which was funded, largely the startup of that, by the, I think, 8.5 million dollars that came out of the failed McCain campaign for president in 2012. They took that money and developed the McCain Institute with it, which is based out of the University of Arizona State University. So yeah, all that leftover campaign money went into the McCain Foundation. And politicians find a lot of different ways to use their campaign money. And Q said it is the con. You know, all these foundations and institutes, it is just a way that they can take donations and make them look like donations and not be accused of taking bribes. So it's a rigged system. Q responded to his previous post asking the Alans to look into Zuckerberg, follow the family, reread drops about Zuckerberg. This is a brief biography of Zuckerberg. Born in '84 in White Plains, New York. Son of Karen Kempner, a psychiatrist, Edward Zuckerberg, a dentist. Ancestors came from Germany, Austria, and Poland, etc. So you can look into Zuckerberg's past if you're interested in that. Q said, "We have more power than we realize." I'm going to read this for you. "People have power. Don't forget how to play. Together you are strong. Facebook violation of your privacy. Facebook is actively tracking you. They're reading your private messages. They're censoring political views. More will drop. We have it all. Class action lawsuits are effective. Global. Hey, Jack, you're next." What is Jack's secret Twitter handle? Dummy accounts are used to talk. What you see is limited. Think emails. Loretta Lynch, Hillary, Obama, etc. Q. All right. So we have the power. Look, Q has been telling us the fate of Facebook and Twitter is in our hands. It's up to us. The government can regulate them, but we have the power to take them down. I'll explain how that's going to happen here in just a sec. So one of the Anons says, "Oh, Facebook doesn't have anything on me. I don't have a Facebook account." Well, here's the deal. Whether you have a Facebook account or not doesn't really matter anymore. Google makes the Android operating system. It works probably 90% of the mobile phones and devices right now. The Android operating system collects everywhere you go, your shopping, your purchases, your web searches. It tracks it takes your email contacts, it scans your emails and private messages for content, scans everything, can record all of your voice messages, record your phone calls, record all your information, upload your videos, upload all of your data, and aggregate all of that. It doesn't matter if you have a Facebook account. And look, I'm just going to be quite honest here. If you have a Google account for Gmail or for whatever, YouTube account, all right, if you think that you can go and use DuckDuckGo as your search engine and that is going to prevent Google from tracking you, you are mistaken. Just because you're using another website to do your Google searches or your web searches does not mean Google isn't tracking you. If you have a Google account, they put a cookie, a browser cookie, and they follow all the websites you go to. Whether you're using Google as your search engine or not, doesn't matter. If you're logged into your Google account, they are tracking you. So is Twitter. So is there's a lot of companies now. You can't hardly buy or use a mobile app nowadays that does not track what you're doing and where you're going. That is just the nature of it. So if you think you're not being tracked, you are being tracked. And it is an invasion of your Fourth Amendment. And that is what Q has been getting at. They have been violating our constitutional rights. And we can band together and we can bring class action lawsuits and we can take them all down if we want to. We have the power to do that. So Q responded to this anon. You are being tracked. No Facebook account is required. This is bigger than you think. Agencies are attached. Q. Right, because Facebook and Google are taking that data and they're giving it to the three-letter agencies. Because the three-letter agencies can't do it because they're government agencies. But they decided that they would do it anyways using Facebook, Google, and Twitter, and everybody else, Instagram. So they take the data, they scrape it, and they give it to the three-letter agencies. And it's all being exposed. So an anon asked for more information. It said, you are being tracked, no Facebook account required. You know, what the hell? It's embedded in Android operating system. This is bigger than you think. Agencies attached. Q says, think the bridge. Google, Facebook, Twitter, IG, central algorithm. Stage had to be set. Q. I don't know what IG, Instagram. That's what it means. The bridge, I think, is a bridge algorithm that Q has been talking about that they got from Snowden. It bridges all of these different platforms, aggregates all the data, allows for censorship of viewpoints, allows for tracking of everything. When Q had previously posted about the bridge, that's what I believe he's talking about, is that there's a bridge program. It's an algorithm that they use, and it aggregates everything and easily gives it to whatever agency needs it. So Q said the stage had to be set, right? We've been talking about that in the past. Q then reiterated that we have the power to fight back. Class action lawsuits are very effective. This is all in caps, by the way. Class action lawsuits are very effective. 2 billion people, global, scale, regulation, or kill. People have the power to decide. What would happen if 10 million Facebook users got a class action lawsuit against Facebook and we won a $500 billion settlement or judgment? What would that do to Facebook's bottom line? That is what Q is talking about. If we decide that we want to collectively sue YouTube, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Instagram, we can put them out of business if we want to. We have the power. If we don't do it, the government will regulate them. And that's where this is kind of headed. All right, Q said this, and I'm just going to read this. Syria, hold until conf, I think that's confirmed. Military assets on the ground are locked out of the GZ, Go Zone. Israel strike harmed ability to prove events. Clown report must be verified. Troop unwind to still occur. Have faith. Trust POTUS. Q. So, what is Q saying here? Okay, regarding Syria. They're holding right now their strategy until they have confirmation of what exactly happened. Israel screwed things up by sending those 8 rockets in there. destroyed the chain of evidence, and it's going to be hard now to prove what actually happened, a little more difficult. They have to figure out what the CIA's involvement was, and they have to verify it. Military assets are locked out because the Syrian troops have surrounded the area, so they can't find out what's going on. The troop withdrawal is still planned, but it may be delayed. So have faith, trust. Okay. And Anand said, weird that you can't get eyes on it. That is suspect. Q said, satellite imagery plus eyes in the sky, EITS, are not definitive. So even though they have eyes in the sky, and even though they have satellite imagery, spy planes, that is not definitive evidence to prove what exactly happened, who did it. Even though Trump is saying Assad's an animal, Assad did this, he's gassing his own people, behind the scenes they are still looking to find out who did what, how it all went down. So don't rush to judgment on any of that, what Trump is saying publicly. Privately, they're still looking at what actually happened. All right. Q then posted this, which is a Drudge headline. Iran threat to restart nukes. Q says, like clockwork, you've been prepared. Q, right? So as soon as the Syria thing heats up, Iran starts to threaten that it's going to, nuke somebody. Q then posted a link to the president's tweet of his weekly address and says, CA, California has been targeted. How often does POTUS retweet his weekly address? April showers, Q. So he doesn't retweet his weekly address very often. He is serious. This California issue with the border it's going to be on the front burner. This is a link to Trump's weekly address. If you haven't listened to it, I would definitely listen to it. Q restated what he'd said previously about Rod Rosenstein. RR problems, Q. Speaking of which, let me right now go to Trump's timeline on Twitter because you might find this interesting. Let me zoom out. And Trump now is talking openly about Rosenstein. This is a tweet from this morning. Much of the bad blood with Russia is caused by the fake and corrupt Russia investigation headed up by all the Democrat loyalists or people that worked for Obama and Mueller. Mueller is the most conflicted of all, except Rosenstein, who signed FISA and Comey letter, no collusion, so they go crazy. Right. Pay attention here because now Trump is actually tweeting about Rosenstein. And Q has been telling us now Rosenstein has problems, right? All right, so I just messed up my thread. I clicked out of it, and now I have to go back and find where I was. This is going to take me just a minute, so sit tight. I'll get back to that in a minute. I see that's what happens when I start clicking on links I shouldn't be clicking on. All right, so Rosenstein problems. We're back. And Anand reminded Q that he forgot to post the original, and that is this. And it's so small you can't see it. But basically, Q talked about Sessions coming under public attack, Rod Rosenstein problems, seals broken. And that was from a few days ago. And now I got to zoom out again because this is way too big. All right. So Q responded, amazing coincidence. The military start along with Rod Rosenstein and Sessions being publicly attacked. And I haven't weighed in on this yet, but I might as well do it now. Look, if you can think whatever you want about Sessions. Q has been telling us forever, trust Sessions. The Kabuki theater about Sessions and everybody screaming for his resignation and he be fired. It just makes me laugh. I'm just like, really, people? You can't see that this is theater? I don't know. It just kills me. It's theater. And we need to just trust that Trump and Sessions know what they're doing. All right. An Anon asked for verification about something that Trump said. POTUS said they broke in. Q said they broke in during the fire as it's a distraction. Q. That is an Anon made it clear, said Cohen's office is on the 26th floor of Trump Tower. So they're talking about the FBI raid of Cohen's office. They broke in during the fire. They went in and got their they got their search warrant and then went into Cohen's office, evidently during the fire. And Anon asked for confirmation of a previously coded message. Q confirmed. Hey, did the Anons ever figure out what Q meant with the baby on the floor, hands in the mouth, the start? Was this Syria false flag? Q says, finally, chemicals, learn our comms. I thought that was pretty self-explanatory, straightforward, but Q says no is actually just a reference to chemicals. I mean, I kind of saw the chemicals, you know, you get poisoned and you end up with cancer because of things you put in your mouth when you're a child. But Q says there's something else going on there. This is something that Anon wrote, and it's really good. Let me read it for you. The connection is simply chlorine, not false flag. Keep in mind that every crumb is not meant to be involved before the event. Some of the drops are things for the Anons to dig on and make connections with. Others are markers for future reference. Future proves past. Some drops are just simply communication to the Anons. What needs to be understood to appreciate what's going on here is the fact that Q is basically creating a circular flow diagram that can be referenced and cross-checked with news releases. See, that's what I keep trying to help people understand. Q is really giving us information, background information, to help us understand the news. As the news comes out, if you look back and think about what Q has posted, it'll help you interpret the news correctly. I don't go down all these conspiracy theory rabbit trails because, to me, it's not all that helpful. To me, Q is trying to help us understand the news, the current news, which is why I really try to stay focused on news and current events. So the Anon goes on. Q can't just disclose specifics about a situation or an operation without violating security protocol. Instead, they drop questions and statements that lead to answers that can be understood once that subject becomes public. This provides the validation necessary for public to believe the Great Awakening is legit. Disinformation and misdirection with Q is real. In other words, Q is pointing over there, but really the focus is here, and you only until you publicly get the news can you go back and understand what the reference was really about. Think the Saudi Arabia drops. All of this is accomplished without giving up specific details about the operation. It's pretty genius. And Q then posted a link to this, which is a link to the article about Trump Tower. And he says, read carefully regarding Michael Cohen. Here is a link to the article. You can just search for this, fire at Trump Tower kills one. And it talks about how Michael Cohen is actually texting somebody or calling somebody inside and told them to get out of the tower because it was on fire. He actually helped someone get out of the tower. He posted a link to an article about Chongqing, China. For more than a decade, Chinese automakers have been talking about starting large-scale exports to North America and Europe, prompting periodic worries in the West that companies like GM, Ford, and Volkswagen might be crippled by Chinese competition the way they were by Japanese imports a generation ago. Now there are calls for protectionism, but from an unexpected direction, the biggest, most politically influential Chinese automakers, because, like I said, Ford, Chevy, and other companies are becoming popular in China. So Q posted, thank you, Xi. Good start. China, CQ, cancel. Trump has been talking with China about the tariffs being canceled or modified because they're cooperating with Trump's plan for imports. So it's all good. One of the Anons asked Q about a picture of John McCain and Lindsey Graham standing with Osama bin Laden. Thoughts? Q says, fake. A lot of fake stuff out there, people. Don't fall for it. Q gave more details about Chongqing. Clarify Chongqing Tuesday. Demand for cars. Xi, confirmed tariff reduction Tuesday. China, cars, article provides a foundation, major import. Ford, U.S., it's just a start. Q. So, who is Q that Q knows this stuff is going to publish days in advance? Yes, that's the question. Q said the FBI raid on Michael Cohen's office will be met with swift action. Action is today regarding the raid. Will be met with swift action. FBI is burning the Midnight Oil. Q. Again, this is not the FBI under Chris Wray. I think this is, look, Wray is doing the best that he can, but there are still some rogue agents in the FBI that are still doing some crazy stuff. It's going to take a while for Wray to clean house and get rid of those people. They're dealing with it. So, morning of the 10th, Trump tweets this, total witch hunt, attorney-client privilege is dead. And then, okay, so this is public, all right? What's our back channel? Q saying. The back channel says, trust Sessions, trust Wray, trust Kansas, Mike Pompeo, trust Horowitz, trust Huber. Q. All right, so Trump is screaming and hollering publicly, but for people who are following Q, trust these guys. They know what they're doing. There's inside baseball for us that they don't have, everyone else doesn't have access to. One of the Anons said, thank you. If you get a private message from me and I say thank you, that's what's going on. I'm using that a lot more. Q posted this. Asked, who is standing next to Pence and POTUS? Message, Bolton cleaning house. Out they go. A clean house is very important. Notice that bottom line, a clean house, the house is capitalized. Is that referring to the House of Representatives? Could be, because Paul Ryan just announced that he is not running for re-election. Maybe that's part of the house cleaning. Zuckerberg is testifying about social media. Q posted this yesterday morning. At Snowden, yes, testify, then drop. We have it all. These people are stupid. Fireworks, POTUS weekly address, and Q. So evidently Snowden is going to be testifying about something, and I'm guessing it has to do with that algorithm, that universal algorithm that they have that bridges all the social media platforms and allows the deep state to do surveillance and censor viewpoints. It's all coming out. They've got it all. I'm going to close this thread with something you can think about. Back on March 8th, Q posted this in reference to President's secret meeting with Kim Jong-un in China. The Anons wanted to know when and where. Q said, think Forbidden City. POTUS never crossed the line on ground. Do not glorify us. We work for you. Promises made, promises kept. Q. Last night, Vice President Pence posted this on Twitter. During the election, POTUS promised to appoint strong conservatives to our federal courts at every level. And 1 year ago today, Justice Neil Gorsuch was sworn in as 101st Associate Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. Promises made, promises kept. That is going to do it for this update. Love you all. Take care. Thank you for your financial support. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for sharing this with your friends and people on social media. This is Praying Medic signing off. I will catch you on the next update.